I really appreciate that. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. In fact, I didn't really mention it to Ruth, but part of my public speaking actually is I did spend time as a minister. So
Really?
yes, I did. I was for a few years. So that is actually where I learned spending time reading scripture on how to try my best to read it with expression and with love and with a positive energy. So that you mentioned that has caused me to come clean completely as to how that came about.
Well, I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill and I'm your host. Today I have a delightful guest to bring to you, as I always do. Actor Robert Nahum. Now, you might have seen him most recently on one of the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries projects, Francesca Quinn, PI. But there have been other things. You can go back and see other Hallmark movies he's been a part of, Tales from the Loop, as well for Amazon. So there's several things that he's done. And in fact, he just finished filming a Lifetime movie. But this guy is really quite fascinating, I think. I know I always said about my guests, but he shared so much with us. We had such a fun time with him. And you're going to learn things that he has not revealed anywhere else till now. So, as you heard in that opening clip. So, just sit back, relax, and let's welcome Robert Nahum. Well, I want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill, and I am your host. And today we have another fabulous guest, Robert Nahum. I just happened to reach out to him just this past weekend, and here he is on my podcast. So thank you, Robert. So nice for you to be here today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Well, always an honor, always special to have people that I've not had the chance to talk with before. And this is really my first time of reaching out to Robert. And actually, I found out I've been following you for a while. So at some point, I started following you, and I don't even know when, probably because of Hallmark or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So Robert, you are an actor, Canadian actor.
Yes.
And how many years have you been acting now?
I've actually been at it for about 4.5 years. So not that long.
Okay. So I would love for you to give us a little background about who you are, how you got started with acting, or probably, I'm going to assume, is this like a second career for you? Did you have another career before this?
I did have another career before this. Actually, in a weird way, I've kind of been acting my entire life. As a kid, I was always the one in the crowd that if there was a game to be played, I always tried to make it into a movie. And I'd always give people different parts. And my childhood friends, many of them who I still know, always were like, "Oh, Rob, you make the best sound effects, or you can imitate voices so well." So in a roundabout way, I've always been doing that. Later on in life, I'm also a singer-songwriter and a musician. So later on in life, I had a band, and I was the lead singer and principal songwriter. So I learned and crafted, with the help of my bandmates, stage presence, and also spent some time doing public speaking. So there was a number of different things that contributed to my what I do now, even though I didn't know it was leading to that. Most of my working life was in healthcare. I was a physical rehab assistant for over 20 years. And it got to a certain point where I began to realize that even if you're at a job for a long time, that doesn't always translate to it being what you're meant to do. And I had to come to a hard decision, which took me 2 years to make, actually, because, my job was good. I had a good pension. I had all those things that can, bring you into that sense of security that you don't want to leave. And my kids were small at the time. So, or younger anyway. So for me, it took 2 years to come to the decision, but I decided to pursue pursue acting. And it was my current partner who said to me, you know what? You know a lot about movies. You're always talking movies. You have a depth for it. You should take some acting classes. So I did. And before I knew it, I was hooked and auditioning. And one thing just led to another. And I found myself in the first season of Amazon's Tales from the Loop. And I played the bartender Logan. So it all kind of began from there and slowly went on.
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, it's very clear you've got a great presence about you. I mean, I could tell that, like, you came on here and I mean, I could tell you did in the movies, but it's always interesting then when, always paying attention to when someone comes on you, and you got a great voice. I can definitely tell public speaking, singing, that makes perfect sense just from all that I'm seeing from you. But healthcare, that's really something. I'm not used to hearing that. That might be a first for me that I've interviewed someone who was working in healthcare and then ended up getting into acting. That's really amazing.
Yeah, well, it was healthcare is kind of something that's ran in my family. My mother was an RN for over 40 years, and my brother was an RN for 12 years. So being in healthcare and working in medicine has kind of always been in my family. Just seemed logical at the time to pursue it, but I guess I'm no different from anyone. That at some point in a person's life, you begin to realize that you got to ask yourself that question: whose life am I living? Am I living for my parents or this or that, or do I want to live for myself and pursue my dreams? And I was at a stage in my life where it was like, now's the time. So I just went for it, full of faith, and there was some fear too. It's not like I was so courageous that I was looking over the edge and not too sure if there was anything there to catch me, but faith over fear.
That's excellent. That might be what I'm calling the episode, Faith Over Fear. I like that. Great. That's the only way to live your life when it comes down to it, because if we're just giving into our fears and just kind of staying in our comfort zone, nothing great happens.
No, and that faith took me a long time to grow into, to actually exercise a truer form of faith in a higher power, and to understand that it has my back. And that's not always easy to do as human beings, because we like to be in control of things all the time. So to surrender that control continues to be a lesson that I learned.
As I think it's a lesson for all of us. I mean, wow! You've only been here like a short time. We've only been talking this short time, and you have just dropped all this amazing truth already. It's like, I love that. That's what I always love. I love that when we have these conversations. I'm always about really getting to know who you really are. Yeah, it's great that you do the acting and you do the other things, but getting to know who you are. And I love that you've already shared that. It's like I love that you've been so transparent about that. So thank you, Robert. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. I don't think that I've learned there's no other way to be. Like, you might as well be as honest as you can be. Things just work out better.
Yeah,
it's better.
Exactly. Now your name, because we were just talking about this, and I thought I'd bring it up here. So Robert Nahum, what I had said is Nahum, that's a biblical name, and I think then you had a little story about that. You want to share about that a little bit?
Yeah. I use my middle name is actually Nahum, but in the business and as an actor, I use it as my last name, because my real last name is Allen, Robert Nahum Allen. But what happened when I looked under the list of names who are actors at Robert Allen, there's like 75,000 of them, right? So I was like, wait a second, this isn't going to work. How am I going to set myself apart? Right. So I decided to substitute my middle name. My father, who was a very, very spiritual man and had a large influence on me in that way, he gave me my middle name, Nahum, and it means one who brings comfort or encourages. So, with that unique meaning,
Mhm.
and it not being a name that's heard very much in terms of last names, I decided to go with that.
Oh, cool. Well, I would say you're already living up to that name.
Well, I'm trying. I'm trying.
I understand. I understand. And well, and I always notice the biblical things because, of course, my name Ruth is biblical. My brother has a biblical name. His name is David. So it's like this. So my daughter's name is Martha. It's biblical. So I'm always about that. But it's really something you don't hear Nahum just in general. That's not a name you hear even as a first, middle, last name, whatever the case is. It's so I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I like you. I kind of carried it over with my children, my son Jacob, Abigail, and Sarah. So it's I carried it over that same thinking and tradition with having a biblical name thrown in there somewhere. I named all my kids' first names with a biblical name.
There you go. That's cool. I like that. So with healthcare being a part of your family, now you made the decision to then go towards acting. What did your family think about this?
Um, they thought it was crazy. They thought it was pretty crazy. I don't think any of them took me seriously. I don't think any of them took me seriously when I was in my band, which actually was actually had some success here locally, and just through unforeseen circumstances and time, things didn't work out. But um, I think probably when they heard that I was going into acting, they probably rolled their eyes, and there was a collective groan somewhere that here he goes again. But as with everything that I've ever done in my life, if I come to that conclusion that this is what I'm going to do, my two things are work hard and pray harder and pursue it. So I've pursued it, and I mean, there's been some moments where like, especially during the pandemic. But I was fortunate enough to even get work during the pandemic. So things have worked out in one way or another. And every day that goes by, I learn just to surrender a little more and just stay calm. And because this business is so tumultuous at times, and it's very competitive, and like, so I just try to keep balance and just keep working.
That's good. Well, and you're also a really great storyteller, Robert. I mean, you have a really gift of being able to draw us into your story. I just love that. I just wanted to say I appreciate all that you're telling us and just the way you're doing it. It's really it's very entertaining, very interesting. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. Probably has something to do with the songwriting stuff. I love to tell a good story that's and a truthful one at that. But I love to tell a good story and make sure that I get my point across, communicate well. So I appreciate that.
So you mentioned that your work with Amazon, that was Tales from the Loop. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was your first experience in the industry, like actually acting. And so what was that experience like for you? I've been thinking, now, of course, you've done the music thing, so you're used to being someone on stage. I realize that. And then you've done the healthcare stuff, but what was that like? Like when you appeared that day, that first day coming to work as an actor, what was that like?
That was like being beamed up by Scotty and put on a different planet. It was a completely different universe that when I walked onto the set of this $150 million project, that my casting director didn't let me forget, by the way. You just walked in off the street and got this part. It was very intimidating. And I'll tell you a quick story. My character was Logan, the bartender, and in this small town. And my very first episode rather, was directed by Mark Romanek. Mark Romanek is a very prominent director. And again, I'm green as green can be. And I only had 2 lines in the whole episode. So my turn for my lines come up, and I go to my marks. I say my line, And the director, I hear this cut, and he gets up and he comes, and now the room, as you know, there's 100 people standing around. And he comes up to me and he was stroking his beard and he goes, "Rob." And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "What the bleep are you doing?" And I'm like, I don't even think, I think I stopped breathing. I think I stopped breathing. And I said, "Pardon me." He goes, "What the bleep are you doing? I need you over here as opposed to over there when you say your lines." Now, I know because I knew where my marks were. I was in the right place, but I'm not about to argue. So I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I'll do that again." So he goes storming back behind the camera. "Okay, action." And here's the thing, Ruth. Here's the real funny thing, is I did the exact same thing.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Cut, perfect." So I couldn't really figure it out. So for the rest of the morning, I was feeling all dejected and sad. And I was at Craft Garden. I was getting a coffee and I'm sticking a Twinkie in my face. And I feel this presence behind me, and I turn around, and it's the director. And he says to me, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I think you're doing great. Don't take my screaming at you personally. I scream at everybody." Right? And then we had this nice conversation for like 10 minutes, and everything worked out well after that. And we had different directors for each episode. And I had the privilege of being directed in the last episode by Jodie Foster.
Oh my!
So that was a real big deal for everybody, not just for me, like for everybody. But that was really cool. She gave me a little gold star for being on time on set. So that made me feel real good.
You know what? I was going to say, you are one of the only people I've ever had who showed up early, because that doesn't usually happen. And that's nothing disparaging against actors, but I think creative people tend to either be on time or like just barely late very often. And so I noticed, it's like you showed up 5 minutes early. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is good." I'm not used to this. So,
well, no, I learned a long time ago that and this has nothing to do with the other actors that they may have had good reasons for being late.
yeah.
But for me, I always learned that if you show up late, it's almost kind of like you're disrespecting the other person's time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that, because I don't like it when it happens to me. So I always like to make sure, I've always believed that, be a little bit early, and just show that, you want to be there. And that, I think that comes off a lot better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And I know everybody's different, but I'm just saying, I appreciate it. And it did stand out to me. So I can kind of see her giving you a gold star because you were on time. Yeah, I can see that. That's kind of cool. So a lot of people who will get the chance to listen to this or watch it, they are going to probably recognize you from Hallmark because you have done some Hallmark work. Now, first of all, being in Canada, I realize Hallmark's now more accessible. It used to be when I first started interviewing people in Canada, like sometimes they couldn't even see the movies they'd been in because it wasn't even being aired in Canada anywhere. They'd film it in Canada and then we'd see it in the US. That's crazy. How much did you know about Hallmark before you actually worked on your first Hallmark production?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I had no idea that Hallmark was even in the movie business. I thought they made greeting cards. That's pretty much all I knew about it. Yeah. So I really didn't know that they even made movies until I auditioned for one, and therefore I knew after that. But yeah, I had no idea, and it wasn't till I don't actually know when it happened, but we finally do get Hallmark movies on a network here,
right?
But not their mystery movies.
Right.
We don't get those. We just get their other ones. So, but it's still nice to see them. But yeah, we don't. It's hard to still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes the mysteries will come along later, like other networks will start picking them up in Canada eventually, but it's usually a little bit harder to get them than because there's an actual partnership, I believe, between Hallmark and the W Network. I think there's a partnership. And,
exactly.
And that's exciting. I actually remember that happened. It actually happened back in 2019, and I remember because it was the year before COVID. So that's what I remember, because I was at an event with Hallmark and they announced this partnership. I'm like, oh, how exciting! Finally. So your first Hallmark movie was called is it My One and Only? Isn't that what it's what
Yes.
yeah, right, with Pascal Hutton, who a lot of us know her from When Calls the Heart, because that's been a lot of us that really follow Hallmark have followed that show, and that was my introduction to her. Although I know she did stuff before that, which I've now learned about. So that was your first production with Hallmark, and so what was it like then? Okay, so you come in not knowing very much about Hallmark. So what was your first experience like being on a Hallmark set?
Um, I really, really enjoyed it because everyone was super friendly and super helpful and really genuine. Um, and as genuine and as friendly as they were very professional too. So it was a really good experience because it was a lot of teamwork. And I remember I was auditioning for something else after that experience, and the casting director was like, "So how was My One and Only? How was your experience?" And I told her the same thing. It was just great. I mean, if this is the way movies are done all the time, I know that I'm doing the right thing because it was a lot of fun.
Exactly. And so and I'm glad to hear that, because I hear that regularly, and that's what makes me feel really good about and I know Hallmark is great, and I know that there are other networks that are coming up and are great to work with. I know there's Lifetime, and now there's GAF, Great American Family, and there's different, and then you've got CBS, which is getting into making these movies, and you've got Food Network. I mean, you have all these movies. Now have you made a Christmas movie? I don't remember seeing a Christmas movie in.
Have I made a Christmas movie? I don't think so. Not yet. I don't think I've done a Christmas movie.
So
I've
it's
done a.
good.
I have done it. Sorry, I have done a New Year's one. It was first entitled New Year, New Me, but it's a different title now.
It's
They
like,
changed it.
yeah, I saw that one. Yes, because I actually chatted with I can't remember now. I think it was the director, if I remember correctly. And I remember it got delayed for quite a while, and then it finally came to Hallmark. It was like it's supposed to come, and then it didn't come until the following year. Yes, I remember that movie quite well.
And
Yeah.
then I did recently Romance in Style.
Yes, you did, absolutely, definitely, but it's certainly time. My goodness. Well, okay, so I'm just gonna say they need to put Robert in a Christmas movie. I don't care what network does it. For me, I'll watch it. Like it's like, okay, he's done some of these. It's like now it's time to put him in a Christmas movie, because that would be awesome. I'd love to see you in a Christmas movie.
I'd love to do one for them. That'd be awesome.
There you go. Well, I just want to bring up, so really what caused me to reach out to you was you had quite an interesting role in this most recent Hallmark Movies and Mysteries film, Francesca Quinn, whichever, what is it? Private
PI.
Check. Yeah, PI. That's Private Investigator. That's it. That's like, I know it's Francesca Quinn. Thank you. You had a really interesting character that stood out to me. I mean, that's actually why I reached out to you, because I was like, oh my goodness, this is not just one of those. It's a supporting cast member, but it's something. There's a little bit of a story. You had more of a story and more of a chance to explore this character that may not have been. It may not have been who we first thought he was. There was. Exactly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Bill Duncan. I really enjoyed doing him. He was a character who wasn't really what he seemed at first, and then again, maybe he was. And I think the way they wrote it kept people guessing right till the end.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. It was such a pleasure to be working with Mallory Jensen and Dylan Bruce, who were incredibly supportive, as was the entire cast. we really fed off one another, and there was a lot of great energy in our scenes. And I really loved the back and forth between myself and Dylan's character, Win. It was so much fun. But yeah, it was a great character, and it really gave me a chance to really expand and show a little bit more of what I could do and my chops. And I loved the confidence of the character in contrast, because it was really you could see that there's tension between myself and Win and Dylan Bruce's character, and there's that machismo thing kind of going on between us in a very subtle way, and that was a lot of fun, and it was just a great experience.
I'm glad it came off really well. Although I had to reach out to Terrell Rothery also, because she and I go way back many years now, because she just literally terrified me in her role. Oh my goodness. I was like, this is like the sweetest woman that I could ever imagine, and she's playing this like psychopath.
Yeah, she was really the entire cast, but she's awesome. Everyone was so dialed in.
Yeah, and I think it came off really well. I know my mom and I love the mysteries, and this was one we had to really pay attention. I think that's what I liked, because sometimes you can watch a mystery and it'll be like, okay, you see where it's going. Okay, pretty easy to figure out. Sometimes, and I'm not just sometimes, but this one was very complex. In fact, at one point, my mom asked me a question. I said, I don't know. Let's go and rewind it and watch that part again, because we missed something. And my mom is here, and she's nodding right as I say that. Yeah, it was very well done. I can say I'm hoping that you guys get the chance to do more of these, and maybe they bring your character back. Hey, I'd be all for that.
So would I. That'd be great if they do more, and even better if they bring Bill Duncan back. I think they kind of left the door open for that. But we'll see. But if they do, that would be fantastic. And even if they don't, if they have the opportunity to continue to make more with Dylan and Mallory, good on them. That would be great.
Exactly. Now I believe that I was looking over your credits this morning, and it looks like you might have I saw what looks like it could be a pretty big movie for you coming up. At least a lot of actors involved in. There was a movie that I have to look up what it's called. That I think it's called Ordinary Angels, maybe.
Yes. John Gunn. What a great movie. Faith-based movie, somewhat. I had the privilege of working with Hilary Swank and sharing a couple scenes with her. Mm-hmm. And she was incredible. Very nice, very open, very approachable. And Alan Richardson too, from Reacher.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He's also in the film. But never really got to do any scenes with him. Saw him on set and whatnot. But yeah, Hilary Swank, that was great. And John Gunn, the director, was super nice. Everyone was super friendly. And looking forward to whenever that comes out.
Right. I know. When I looked at it, and I looked over this list, I was like, oh my goodness, this. And then I saw that Lionsgate was like the production company. And I thought, well, this has the potential to be something really major. I mean, depending on, I know we don't know necessarily when it's going to be released, but sounds really exciting. So
yeah, it is really exciting. I'm looking forward to another major release too that I had the privilege of starring in, which is Bed Rest.
Okay.
Which is directed by Laurie Evans. I'm looking forward to that. They had a release date, but they were doing some more post-production stuff, and I got a call from the director, from Laurie Evans, who is writing, by the way, the latest Final Destination.
Oh, okay.
She's one of the writers, the lead writers for that. Mm-hmm. And she also wrote this movie, Bed Rest, and directed it. And she had called me and said, yeah, there was a bit of a delay, but we're getting this ready, and we'll definitely get back to you and let you know when the premiere is and all that. So looking forward to it.
Wow. So you've got a couple exciting things coming up. That's good. And is there anything that I've missed that's like recently out? Or I mean, I know we just have the Francesca Quinn one we just talked about, but is there anything else that's maybe you can mention or that you'd want to mention?
Well, one of the things that I'm going to be starting in next week is a Lifetime project,
Oh,
Lifetime movie, and it's based on real events, where my character is a prominent member of law enforcement. So, and it's a very meaty, very strong character and role. So I'm looking forward to continuing to dig into that and prepare for that and execute it, hopefully.
oh, good. Well, I don't think there's hopefully. Of course you're going to. We know that. We know that. And that's a great thing. I love that I can come along and say, "Well, we know you're going to do that," because I know you're in the midst of it. But then we could say, "Yeah," I could always come along and say, "I know you're going to do it. I'm sure you'll do a great job with whatever project you're giving." And it sounds really. I love it when they do Lifetime movies that are based on actual events. For me, those are always my favorite Lifetime movies. And so we will be looking forward to hear more about that soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I do want to make sure, because I've got two really great people here that I know they have questions and or comments. So who would like to go first? Either my mom or Paula, which one?
I'll just jump. I'll be Paula. Okay. Hi, Paula. First of all, I miss seeing you. That's great seeing you. I tell you, Robert, that was the best mystery I have seen. And I love mysteries. I mean, I inhale mysteries. It's just, you say mystery and I'm there, front row seat. And it was intriguing. You kept us captivated and hooked. And it was not one in which, oh, I'll run out in the kitchen and grab something to drink, and oh no, you don't have to stop it. I'm good. I know what's going on. Type thing. We had to pause it and say, okay, wait till I get back in here. And so it was in your character. You played your character just so well, very well.
Thank you very much.
It was like, I mean, in the beginning there was, and it was like, oh, he's a good guy, and then all of a sudden, Ruth, I missed something here. We got to go back and look at this again. Somewhere I must have fallen asleep. But it's like, okay, oh, now I've got the pieces put together. Yeah, it was fascinating. I loved it. Absolutely enjoyed it immensely. And it wasn't until just before the gal was exposed, it was like, okay, it's got to be so-and-so. And it always feels good, but I'm right. I'm not right very often. It was amazing.
I'm very happy that you enjoyed it. The director, Anthony Michu, was terrific. He really helped us develop each scene. And as I mentioned before, working with Dylan and Mallory was just fantastic. I was able to draw off of their energy as well. So I'm very, very pleased and happy to hear that you enjoyed it and that you enjoyed my performance as Bill Duncan.
Yes, it was. And I really do. I agree with Ruth. I really hope they bring it back with more episodes and that you're included, because I think that's a fantastic storyline that they left. It was kind of on that hanging thing. It's like, it could go either way, type thing, which was great. And just one other and I'm looking forward to seeing your upcoming movies. I do like the Lifetime movies, the real event, those based on actual events, but also they're the scariest to watch, shall I say. They're like the most, but I do enjoy them. And your voice, I just want to close with this. You have the most amazing voice to listen to. There's in fact, as I was listening to you, and I thought, man, I wish you would do the Bible on DVD or whatever they call it, whatever the new digital thing is, because I could sit and listen to you read scripture and be just taken out of this life that I'm in right now to that place where we love to go and visit in our minds, and I just think you have a beautiful, soothing, beautiful voice.
Well, I really appreciate that. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. In fact, I didn't really mention it to Ruth, but part of my public speaking actually is I did spend time as a minister. So
Really?
yes, I did. I was for a few years. So that is actually where I learned spending time reading scripture on how to try my best to read it with expression and with love and with a positive energy. So that you mentioned that has caused me to come clean completely as to
Oh,
how that came about.
it's amazing, and thank you for being here today on such short notice too. Because I know when Ruth said, because she called you by name, Robert Nahum's going to be on. It's like, who's that? Because I don't. She knows all this. I enjoy all the benefits without remembering all these names. Oh, it's the guy. Oh, that's exciting. So I told her, be sure and call me in from outside. So I'm going to be here on time so I can see the podcast, because I did want to see you. And just thank you for an amazing movie. That was just fantastic. I so enjoyed it so very much, and looking forward to looking at it again. It was excellent.
Well,
So
my
thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you very much. I thank you for all your kind words.
You have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, okay. That makes perfect sense, Robert. You saying that you being a minister, I can definitely see that. Okay. I didn't ask Paula. I assume that you're ready to go.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, Paula.
Hello. I too came in last moment. I was on a trip away for a week, and I was out trying to find myself. I mean, took time to, and I love your saying, faith over fear. I mean, I was fearful driving across Canada by myself, from Toronto to the East Coast. And,
Wow.
Even the crossing guard said, you're crazy, but I did it, the Border Patrol.
Yeah.
So I'm jumping over a little bit. Usually I'm more organized, but I'm not today because I just came in very late last night. You talked about your schooling, which was one of my questions. I wanted to know, did you do this in the beginning? Were you in school plays? Was it right from grade school or high school or no?
I actually did my first acting in the 5th grade where I played Santa Claus.
Oh, okay.
I played Santa Claus in a school play. And oddly enough, one of the reasons why the teachers said I got the role is because they liked my voice. And somehow I pulled off a Santa voice that they liked. So it all kind of started, I think, there, at least subconsciously. And after that, I never really did any plays in school or anything like that. That was like the first and last thing I ever did. It wasn't until years later, like I mentioned to Ruth, that I started doing music and the ministry that I was involved in, and that's what kind of gave me put me out front in that way to give me that kind of experience on stage and speaking.
You kind of answered this question already too, but 2020 was a very difficult time, and there were quite a few people who had to reinvent themselves. And you kind of answered that. You were in healthcare, terrible time for healthcare people, workers. And I lost a sister to COVID. So, I mean, it's really a hard time. And then you reinvented yourself. Did your family, because your parents were brother and sister, mom were in healthcare, did they say, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Or did they encourage you when you chose to take a different path?
Well, here's the story. Both my parents had passed by that time.
Okay.
My last year in healthcare, I believe, was 2017. That was my last year.
Okay.
And my first acting project was in 2018. But there were family, siblings, and others that thought I was like, "What are you doing? Like, what? This is not the time. You need something stable." And the fact of the matter is, because I was so green and I was just coming into the industry, there was a little bit of instability there for some time, but I was determined to stick with it. And that's where that faith over fear came in again. I was determined to stick with it and just keep moving forward. And as rocky as it was, it did continue, and I was able to get work even during COVID. I was able to do a few episodes of Burden of Truth. and work on some other movies. Again, I promise, or I believe we shouldn't see each other again after tonight, which was a Sean Garrity movie that was in theaters.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had some people that were doubters, but I never stopped believing and just continue to move forward.
That movie you just mentioned, it was on my list to ask you what it was about. It says, I propose we never see each other again after tonight.
Yes, that was a rom-com. Yeah.
A rom-com?
Yeah, it was a romantic comedy and a really great movie. Very well done. It was played nationwide in theaters, but again, it was during COVID. It took a hit for that. But Sean Garrity is a great Canadian director. And in fact, he now has a movie that they're showing at the Toronto International Film Festival as well. I can't remember the title of it, but he's a great director, and it was a lot of fun.
Under that category, also, you had one that was called First Contact, and then you had the one that says In a Moment's Notice, which was in 2021, and the other was 2019. You went by Robert Nahum Allen. Was that your character that you played, or did you?
No, that's actually the character I played in Contact was a mission director, but they put at the time I was going by Robert Nahum Allen. That's my legal name. And like I was telling Ruth, there were just too many Robert Allens out there. So I just shortened it to Robert Nahum.
Yeah.
And in the other movie, what was the other movie you mentioned?
There was In a Moment's Time and
Yes.
In a Purpose, we never see each other again. All three of those you are listed, because I watched the credits to the end.
Yeah.
And in the credits, that's what you're listed as Robert Nahum Allen for the
Yes.
three movies.
Yes, and that was my really early work. Except for A Moment's Notice, I guess I don't know why that was a short film that a friend of mine made. Actually, he directed it, wrote it, and starred in it. Yeah, it's just one of those things. They credited me with that name, but in all the later credits and things up to date now, it's just Robert Nahum.
Mm-hmm. I always ask that question at the end, but I'll ask it now because we're talking about credits. I watch the credits, I read the credits, and I love the crazy credits, like the old man at the bar, or that type of. What is your craziest credit that you have been listed as in the movie roles?
I think the craziest credit I've had was where I played a drugged out homeless man in a movie called Tales from the Hood.
Oh.
It was a series of horror flicks that American director Randy Cundiff has made throughout the years, and I was in the latest incarnation of that, and that was a lot of fun. It was something that I'd never done before, and he was a pretty crazy character, but that would be that.
Yeah. And so then, looking at the only list that I could see of there were only a couple, so I knew you were new at this. One I'm really interested in, I don't know if you could tell me a little bit about, because I now want to search out this movie, was The Ice Road.
Yes, with Liam Neeson. Yeah, that was a movie that was made here. It was an action adventure. Mm-hmm. If you watch that movie, my character is called Hard Hat, but you're not going to see Hard Hat because Hard Hat found the editing room floor.
Okay.
But they were still kind enough to give me a credit in the movie. So
nice, yeah, because I have written that down. Hard Hat, and then the other one is I do want to look. That one is because I had known this is the Tales from the Loop. That one looks so fascinating. You were in the episodes that had shown. Will they ever bring it back, do you think? Or will they ever, because that was from, I think it was like it was like when the pandemic thing was coming. So there was that pause in the middle. Do you think they'll bring that back? Because the trailer is awesome. I mean, it's drawn me in to want to watch it.
It was great. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're going to be bringing it back. I don't think so. I heard the creator of the stories wanted to move the filming of it to the Netherlands. I don't know if that ever came to pass, but I don't. It doesn't look like they're going to be bringing it back, but you never really know. You never really can say for sure. But as far as I know, it doesn't. I don't think they'll be bringing it back, which is unfortunate because it was a really great series. I think our first season. I think one of the things was because it's such a cerebral, slow burn. It really didn't catch on because it wasn't. I think what they did was they were trying to get an audience like Stranger Things, and because it wasn't firing off as quickly, and they were storytelling more, not a lot of monsters and ghouls and that. That may have caused it to struggle a little bit. But like I said, you never know. It might come back. I think it's more than worthy of it. They had great directors, great actors. Jonathan Pryce, my favorite Bond villain of all time, was in there. And of course, directors like Jodie Foster. So
Yeah. I'm going to start it tonight because I mean, it really drew me in. I mean, so I'll be looking forward to watching that one. Then the other one, or if you could tell us a little bit, because I wrote new underneath it, was the Bad Rest, because that's a horror movie. Was that the first horror movie that you were in? And you played the Deputy Gates. What a little briefing, what you can tell us about it.
Well, it's the second horror movie I've been in, Tales from the Hood being the first one and this one. The story is basically about a woman who thinks she's losing her mind in her surroundings that might be haunted and possessed by bad entities. And she's trying to, at the same time, she's pregnant. So she's under a lot of stress. She's not sure what's happening with her mind. Her spouse isn't really sure if she's all together, and she has a history of some problems from the past. So all this is coming together, and people are doubting her, but she's more aware of what's going on than people think. And my character is someone who kind of knows the family and is just doing his best to try to keep them calm and not go too crazy.
So you've been in you've been in the rom-coms, the science fiction, and the horror movies. Which of the three or is there any one category of films that you like better than the other? Or
not really. I try to keep myself open to everything. I've enjoyed everything I've been privileged to have a part in. So it really doesn't matter. I lean a little bit probably towards playing an officer of the law of some kind. But overall, I've loved it all.
Yeah. And is it when you do the horror ones? We've interviewed several actors and actresses that have been in them, and they talk about how switching their mind, to walk away from it. Did you have a hard time, or did you center yourself in your faith, or how did you get through it?
I try to do best. Well, no, I do my best to remember that in becoming a character, it's just that it's a character. It's not really who I am, and it's my job to do that. As soon as I'm done a role, I put it away.
Okay.
It's done for me. I put it away. Much like when I do an audition. If I have an audition, as soon as I walk out of the audition room, I drop the sides in the garbage and I move away and I try to put it out of my mind as something that's done, and we'll see what happens.
You've now had the opportunity to work for Hallmark and to work for different like Prime or Netflix or whatever. Is there a difference that you feel in the filming from the different studios or the different companies? Like, do you feel
not really.
Hallmark shoots in a short time, some of the other ones shoot in a long time? I mean, is it all equal? It's a job and you're doing it. And
I think the Hallmark movies, sometimes their schedule's a little tighter because they pump out so many movies.
Mhm.
So I think when you step onto a Hallmark set, you have to really be ready to go, because that's kind of the way they film. They're not trying to put any excess pressure on you. It's just that they make so many of these movies, and in my city, in my province, it's kind of a cottage industry, Hallmark, and they make a lot of them. So there's less time that they use to make the movies, to film them, but it's still a lot of fun. Having worked for Netflix and Amazon and Universal, they usually give 6 weeks to make a movie. So there's a little bit more time, and you get more time and days in between, which really helps to develop the character even more. So it's kind of different, but I think once they hire you and you find out what's going on with their time and how they've arranged things, you can still work it out and have enough time.
Mhm. I agree with Neva about your voice. I could close my eyes and listen to an audio book done by you.
I
Somebody
appreciate
ever
that.
offers you a job and you should take it. I mean, your voice is tremendous.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I just want to back up, as you said about the musical instrument. What instruments do you play? Because I do see instruments behind you.
Yes, I play guitar mostly, rhythm and a bit of lead. I play harmonica, and I sing.
When you had your band, did you play guitar or did you just sing?
I play guitar and sang. I was a rhythm guitarist, and
Okay.
I sang. Yeah.
Okay. And then my last question is, I end with this one, is if you could be in an old classic movie, what movie would it be, and what character would you like to play possible?
That
An
would be to
old classic. We're talking
old
about
class.
old classic.
Okay. I think. I consider this an old one and a classic. To Serve with Love.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And I would love to play the teacher, the character that Sidney Poitier played. I'd love to play Sir. And if it wasn't that, it would be In the Heat of the Night, another Sidney Poitier movie.
Yes.
But To Serve with Love would be the first one, I think. I would absolutely, that's a dream, to be able to be in a project like that. For me, that would be it.
And your voice and everything would fit right in that. Yeah, I agree. I could see you in it. Let's hope. Well, I thank you ever so much for taking the time to join me.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. That was awesome. Yeah, let's. So, who do we have to contact so we can get a remake of To Serve with Love and have you?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, let's do that. Although or In the Heat of the Night would be good too. But yeah, To Serve with Love. Oh my goodness, that movie is so fabulous. Oh yeah.
Ruth, can I interrupt? Ruth, can I interrupt for just a sec?
Yeah.
Are you ever going to consider doing something with your music background vocally that we would have the opportunity to hear?
Well, here's the thing. It's funny that you mentioned that, because a few weeks ago, I had some people over for dinner and whatnot, and there happened to be a lot of my old musician friends and a musician that I met on the set of Francisca Quinn. He's a musician that was well known. He's become an actor now, and we were kind of talking about maybe doing something in the future, getting together and maybe trying something. But it's kind of in its early stages. But you never know. I just might pick it up again and get into it. I do have on Reverb Nation, Robert Nahum 2015 on Reverb Nation. There's some demo work that I've done there that's recorded if anyone wants to listen to it. And but we just might do that.
Okay.
That'd be great. That would be great. I would be very interested. Yeah. Ruth, remember that, so you can show me how to get there so I can hear it. Okay, she's my technician.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I'm glad my mom happened to ask about that. Wow. So just as we wrap things up, you've mentioned your family, and I and you mentioned you have 3 kids. Is that what I remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how now has this been as you've made this transition over more into now doing the acting stuff? How has your family, your kids, your wife, how have they, how has it been for them? What has the journey been like?
Well, my kids they think it's cool. They're pretty much grown up now. 23, 21, and 19. So they're pretty much grown up. They think it's cool, but actually my middle daughter did take some acting classes.
Okay.
But I don't think at this point anyway, they're not inclined to follow in their dad's footsteps. Their mother and I are no longer together, but she had no issues with it. They all thought it was cool. They've all seen some of the Hallmark stuff, and they enjoy it. So I think, again, when I mentioned earlier that there was a collective eye roll inside, part of that came from them too. but they have since seen that it's worked out. So
Okay, well that's good. Well, you never know. Hey, never know. Your kids might end up one or more might end up taking the path later on in their lives. You never know.
Never know. If they do, I'll support them. So.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Robert, I mean, this has been really so great to have you. I have so much enjoyed hearing your story, so thank you so much for that. And I'll be sure to leave like all the links and everything that we've mentioned, so people can follow you and they can see more about your work. I always leave that like in the notes, so that will all be there. And so thank you again. And if you guys, my 2 lovely audience members, who I just absolutely love you both, if you'd like to express your appreciation to Robert, feel free.
Thank you so very much.
I also agree. It was worth the 11-hour drive to get back so I can be here.
Well, I'm so glad that you arrived to your destination safely.
Yeah.
To be.
Thank you. But it was awesome talking to you.
It was very
Thank
good.
you very much.
Thank you.
Likewise.
All right. Well, thank you, Robert. Thank you, and thank you, Paula. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ruth.
Bye, Neva, too. Love to you.
Bye, Paula. Nice seeing you too. Take care. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay.
So have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and I'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
For me, there's almost nothing better than when someone comes on my podcast and shares things I never shared. I have wonderful audience participation, questions, and we really become like a family. That's what I have come to love about this. And I just feel like the actors and the writers and producers and whomever else comes on, musicians, that when they come on, they're a part of that family. And so, first of all, Robert is incredible. I can hardly wait to see where his career is going to take him. As he has stepped out in faith and he's pursuing this career. I love his perspective. I love the way he acts. I love his voice. All these wonderful things. But I just want to say thank you to my wonderful guests. And every single one has been amazing. And then we have the strength of this podcast, my virtual audience. I know there were only 2 in this particular time, but it doesn't make a difference. All of you, if you are listeners, watchers, whatever the case is, whether you listen on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, give me a review, whether you are listening, watching on YouTube, and you give me a thumbs up, all of you are a part of my virtual audience, whether you are there or not. We are part of a family, and you guys are the ones that have brought this about. So I am grateful to Robert. Please check out the show notes for all of his links. Let's watch out for that Lifetime movie. Go back and watch Francesca Quinn if you can. Go back and watch some of his other stuff. Look him up. For now, we've got lots of episodes coming up, so I would invite you to join my Facebook group. I'd love to have you come and be a part of that virtual audience. It'd be a joy. You never know who might be stopping by or what might happen. We've had lots of fun times. I want to thank you. And God bless you as you go about this week, this day, this night, whatever it is for you. Take care, and I will see you on another episode of Media from the Heart.